Peace. This is Watch for Wise Words Media back at y'all for another round. And as I'm traveling to work, it's very dark out here. It's actually very fitting. Actually, nice background, because that's the word that you heard, whether it was Olbrick or Aaron Rodgers. They mentioned being in the darkness. And that is what this New York Jets 2024 season has become. It has become complete darkness. They're in shambles. There's no light, no direction. And it reminds me of a recent New York team that had a similar struggle, and here's what I mean. These New York Jets remind me a lot of the Brooklyn Nets of about 2 years ago that had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. It reminds me of them in the sense that here you have Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Before they got there, the Brooklyn Nets had a really good coach. They had a really good coach. In fact, he was such a good coach that he was trying to implement work ethic to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. He was trying to make them watch film. And they complained about that. And they didn't want him, and they ended up getting rid of him. In place, they wanted a yes man in Steve Nash. They figured, oh, Steve Nash is a rookie. We'll have our way with him. We could do what we want. We could run the show. And these words were pretty much reflected when Kyrie said, oh yeah, we don't need coaching. We don't need coaching. And what ended up happening is they got exposed when they played Boston in the first round of the playoffs and got swept. Why? Because it was an experienced coach, a good coach, versus an inexperienced coach who had no coaching background. And when it came to them crucial moments, he just didn't know what play to call. And, it's not all about ability of the players. You need a mind. Sometimes, you can't just say, here, go do your thing. But that's not how you win majority of the time. You need somebody at the helm that understands the game on a mental level, on a strategical level. And you need a good coach. But when you have the inmates running the asylum, these are the results. The Brooklyn Nets got swept by Boston. Here comes Aaron Rodgers, who, upon coming to this Jets team, they went and got Nathaniel Hackett as an offensive coordinator just to lure in Aaron Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett was terrible in Denver. Terrible. He was terrible in Denver. So they went and got him because Aaron Rodgers likes him. Aaron Rodgers was calling the shots in Green Bay when Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator. So Hackett would let Rodgers be his own coordinator, and that's what Rodgers liked. So they got Hackett. Then Aaron Rodgers, notice how it gets darker when I brought up Aaron Rodgers. Then Aaron Rodgers asked to bring in Lazard and Randall Cobb, two wide receivers that he complained about in Green Bay, right? Because in Green Bay, he was saying he had no weapons. So now he brings these same two that he complained about in Green Bay that he said the front office wasn't doing enough to help him. He went in, got those two that did nothing for him in Green Bay and brought them on to the Jets. They got rid of a good young receiver in Elijah Moore. Very good young receiver. Got rid of him to make room for the AARP, Randall Cobb, and Alan Lazard. So these are the things that happen when you let the inmates run the asylum. These are the results. Things like this happen. You can't be surprised, man. You can't be surprised. Then they went ahead and fired Saleh, right? They fired Saleh because Saleh was about to demote. Saleh was about to demote Aaron Rodgers' boy, Nathaniel Hackett, and put in, I believe it was Ulbrich, he was going to put in to call the plays. Right after he makes that move, right after he goes to demote, right after he goes and demotes Nathaniel Hackett, right after that, he gets fired. Why? Because he moved this guy, Aaron's boy. But now you got a locker room divided because you got guys that are on the record. They went on the record, went public in interviews. A couple of your key guys, such as Sauce Gardner, was livid. He said he loved Coach Saleh, and he's upset of what happened to Coach Saleh. You had another one of their young cornerstones in Garrett Wilson that was like, man, listen, everything we doing this season is for Coach Saleh. This is going to be all for Coach Saleh. We're playing for him. Wow. So you went and made a move that upset your young talent, all to please AARP Aaron. I mean, you can't spell Aaron without that double A and an R. AARP Aaron Rodgers. They went and upset their locker room. So now that's a locker room divided, man. And this is the result of a locker room divided. The chaos in the back always spills out to the field. It's inevitable. And this is why the Jets are sitting here 2-6 in a season that was supposed to be their Super Bowl run. It's because when you do things like the Brooklyn Nets did with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, letting them feel too much power, that they could run the show and get a good coach fired and bring in an inexperienced coach just so that they can have their way and run the show the way they want. When you run up against a good oiled machine, a team that is well coached and are stacked with talent, that there's no holes, or it's very hard to find a hole, any weakness in that team, like the Boston Celtics, that's when you get fully exposed. And now, same thing's happening with the Jets just a few years later. The Jets are being fully exposed now because they let the inmate run the asylum, and that is Aaron Rodgers. They let him have his way from the moment there was a remote interest that he may be leaving Green Bay and looking for somewhere else. And they did all they could and continue to. But yeah, this season's, and look, the Jets have a weak schedule, so I know it sounds crazy, but they can still make a push. They can still get a wild card. especially with that extra wild card. They could still get a wild card, but this ain't no championship team. They ain't no championship contender. I'll be surprised if they win one playoff game, if they make it. They still can. There's still time. And, there's still time. So they have a very weak schedule, very winnable games ahead of them. But they have to win this Thursday. This Thursday's now another must win. First of all, they were in a must win with the Patriots, which tells you the state that they're in. But now they have to win Thursday. If they don't win Thursday, I'll feel comfortable saying, yeah, it's a wrap. They're not making the playoffs. But because of how weak and winnable their schedule is, I think they have a slight chance to still make the playoffs. But they got to right that ship this week on Thursday. That's all I got for now. I'm Wise Words Media, looking for some light, just like the Jets. Peace.